Hi, this is Ariane from La Fée de la Mer. It's summer here in the Magdalene Islands. It's the beginning of July and it is so crazy busy. This year I will try and make weekly videos for you guys, which is something I didn't do in the past because everything is so overwhelming in the summer. I need to make so much product. Sometimes I just don't have time after work and the kids and family and personal time. Sometimes I just don't have time to make videos, but I decided to make a series from my iPhone this summer. It will be a summer short series, so the format will be different than what it usually is. It may be a little shaky because I will most likely be filming by hand. And I'm just gonna kind of keep you updated on what I'm working on in the soap studio. So today, or this week, or all summer, I'm gonna be making melt and pour soap. This is one of my soap melting tanks. Basically, I just fill it with soap from the top, and then I set the thermometer right here, like a little computer here. I can set it at the temperature I want, and then it slowly melts. And then whenever I'm ready, I just open the spout and melt and pour comes out. Here is my melt and pour base. It's already colored. I used some lab color and micas to color my batch. And now I will add some essential oils. They're already pre-measured. So this is a blend of mandarin and lavender, and the soap is going to be called Starfish soap. It will look like an aquarium when you cut through it, because I put some yellow calendula petals into it, as well as ground kelp. And the dry calendula petals, once they are wet in the soap, they turn kind of look like seaweed. And then the kelp also makes this little darker speckles in the soap, and it looks kind of neat. Then there will be one star and one swirl into each soap. Okay, this is my setup. I have all of my soap swirl already made right here, and my little stars and my melt and pour base. I also have these little sticks that I cut ahead of time that I'm gonna glue on the inside of the mold. This is how I do my swirls. I'm just gonna show you. I take a cheese slicer and I peel my swirls. And then if they're not the way I want them, I simply reshape and roll them again, and then I get a nice little swirl. Okay, so what I do is I take my embed and I dip it into the melt and pour, and then I stick it down into the mold. So the clear melt and pour acts as glue, so all of my embeds will stay put and in place whenever I am ready to pour the base. Now this is a tricky part because I need to pour the melt and pour when it's warm enough that the two different layers of or the embeds will bond with the melt and pour base, but I also need to be not too hot so that it melts the embeds. Haha. So yeah, pretty tricky. Now that the swirls are stuck to the bottom of the mold, I repeat the same process with the stars. It's hard for me to show you the angle, but you can kind of see the reflection of every swirl, and I just align my stars with every swirl. Dip and stick. See how nice they align? So when I cut, I will always be cutting through a swirl and a star. I take my embed. This one is it's a stick embed, but it's cut in the shape of a square. When you cut it through, it will do little squares within the soap. So what I do is I take the flattest side and I take my spoon from the melt and pour, And I put some melt and pour all the way across the edge. And then I just stick it on there. And I hold it until it doesn't need me to stay on the side. Takes a couple seconds. And there, the inside of my mold is all ready to receive the clear teal melt and pour that will make it look like an amazing aquarium with a starfish inside. I am spritzing rubbing alcohol on the embeds so that it helps them bond and adhere with the other melt and pour. And now it's time to pour. I always do so right in the center so that the pressure from the falling melt and pour pushes equally on towards the outside of my molds, and then I finish off the top with some white melt and pour that I cloud. And then with a little knife, I just put the layer on top and I make it kind of form a wave into my mold, and I repeat the same process on the second loaf so that it does a cool effect once it's cut. So the soaps are ready. It's the next day. These have had the time to cool down and harden up overnight. So I'm simply going to remove the little bungee cords that come with these molds, and I pop ends off. So I just push and release each side. And then I repeat the same exact process to release from the other sides of my mold. I take my little knife, break the tension, and pull out. This is when I can flip those over after breaking of the tension and unmolding the full 24 bar of soap loaf on my work table. Isn't that amazing? One last thing before I cut these in half bricks is I remove the little trims of the edges so that everything is nice and smooth, and I can deliver them to my shop and my employees only have to cut them in bar size. Now I place my loaf from the edge of my countertop, and I have a line here that I drew at 12 inch because these are 24 inches. So this is just a line that I did with permanent marker, and I put my soap on a counter and I just kind of put the knife over where the line is and chop it in half. And this is how I get my smaller bricks. And now I'm going to cut the rainbow soaps as well. They need to be wrapped too. So pretty. So these will later be delivered at the shop, and then my employees will cut them down to smaller 1-inch size bar soap, and then they will be shrink wrapped with a little label in the background, like so. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this video on the making of my starfish soap. Now you've seen how I do this design. Don't forget that it is my design, that I created it. So use the technique to inspire yourself and create something totally new. And if you have any additional questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. And now that everything is cleaned up, it's time to start over again.